Good morning, Kentuckiana at 6 a.m. here on your Friday, and take a look at all of that. It came out of the Ohio. She is receding this morning, dropping to 34 feet from its 37-foot crest. And as the water does go back into the riverbanks, it's leaving behind mud and debris, all of that you see on your screen from the Galt House. We're going to have more on the city's cleanup efforts in just a few minutes. Good morning to you, Kentuckiana. Thanks for joining us on WHAS 11 and WHAS 11 Plus. I'm Grace McKenna.
And I'm Jim Stratman, and I am still mesmerized at the size of some of that debris. I mean, those were some very large pieces of wood that were still down there. It's going to take the city a while to clean this up, but we know that the efforts are underway to try to expedite that process. We'll touch more on that coming up here in a couple of minutes, but first let's get to Matt, who has some better weather for this cleanup process coming.
I know. I'm thankful that I'm finally forecasting better weather conditions for us here in Kentucky. And we are looking at several days of quiet conditions once we are finished with these lingering rain showers. Now, we do have still a little bit of light rainfall still occurring around the Louisville metro, but you'll notice the trend. They're continuing to weaken and dissipate out as we head later on into the morning hours. I'm expecting those to begin to fall apart as we go further on into our day. As we trend further on into the afternoon hours, we're going to continue to see a gradual clearing of our skies. And as we ease our way further on into the evening time, we're going to see clear conditions along with mostly clear skies and along with those temperatures that will be dropping back into the upper 30s. You'll notice on satellite here, though, we're continuing to stay in that pattern that's including drier condition, still including a few spotty showers. Here's a look at the current temperatures across Kentucky. You'll notice that those temperatures are ranging in the mid-40s, and we're going to see those clouds begin to break apart as we go further on into our afternoon. Let's look at weather details. Here's a look at your traffic this morning. We have got quiet conditions on the roadways. If you're headed north, south, east, or west, you're looking good. Just keep in mind that there may be just a few stalled vehicles there. It looks like that we do have a little bit of a holdup on the Gene Snyder. Keep that in mind if that's part of your travel plans this morning.
All right. Thank you, Matt. A 7th Kentuckian has died because of the state's devastating floods. Governor Andy Beshear says the person was from Pendleton County, south of Cincinnati, and about an hour and a half away from Louisville. They haven't been identified. The 6 other victims were a 66-year-old from Campbell County, men from Bullitt and Trigg counties, a Nelson County woman, a 27-year-old from McCracken County, and a 9-year-old boy in Frankfort.
With the floodwaters finally going down, the focus now completely turning to cleaning up the mess that they have left behind. Yeah, Mayor Craig Greenberg plans to discuss the city's efforts today. He'll do that in front of the Galt House, which is where Gabe Gonzalez is this morning. Seeing, Gabe, really the stunning images of just the extent of the work that's going to be done.
Hey, good morning, Jim and Grace. Yeah, lots of work to be done, not only around the city, but especially here. Take a look at what we're seeing right now. I mean, you said at the top of the show, just huge tree logs and trash and junk. Over here behind this bridge, there's a dumpster that's just halfway in water. Now, all of this needs to go back down so we can start cleaning up this area right here. Now, the mayor's office says Public Works is assessing the debris and damage. The city is working with its emergency debris contractor to expedite clearing areas as the floodwaters do recede slowly but surely. Now, if you're a home or property, if it's damaged and you want to clean up, the CDC advises wearing personal protective equipment when cleaning up after a flood to avoid injury and exposure to hazardous materials. And essential gear includes waterproof gloves, boots, long clothing, goggles or safety glasses, and an N95 mask. We will talk about more precautions and more safety measures that the CDC recommends in the next half hour of GMK. So what do you do if you have large debris like you see right here? You can use one of the city's free storm debris drop-off sites. They're open from 2 until 7 o'clock today. There are 9 locations, including Shawnee Park, the Hubbard's Lane Recycling Center, and the Public Works Yard on Lower River Road. Now, we do have a full list on our website, WHAS11.com. Now, drop off for Louisville, it's for Louisville residents only, and you will be asked to provide your address, and there are accepting only tree debris. So don't forget that. Now, you may also be seeing some potholes. We saw a lot of those potholes in that storm in January because of the weather. If you see potholes, you can report them to 411 by calling 411. You can also report them online as well. And Waterfront Park is looking for volunteers to help clean up Waterfront Park. If you want to volunteer, if you're with a group or a school or your work, you can volunteer to help clean up Waterfront Park. All of that information is on their website. And lastly, don't forget, turn around, don't drown if you see any barricades. Jim, Grace.
Thank you very much, Gabe. JCPS students are returning to school today for the first time for their first full day from spring break. Flooding caused the district to pivot to NTI for 3 days this week, and yesterday classes were on a 2-hour delay. And the district said that these moves were all put in place to help keep kids from waiting at stops in the dark on flooded streets, prioritizing safety after last week's tragedy in Frankfort.
Because we wanted it to be daylight when kids were walking to bus stops, when they were waiting at those bus stops. That is what we think of every day in every one of these situations. It is always about safety.
While JCPS is back on schedule today, dozens of bus stops in the city are still unreachable. The district says it's excusing absences for students who can't make it safely to school. And WHAS11 wants to help out those who've been impacted by that flooding. This Saturday, in lieu of airing Thunder, which was canceled, we are now pivoting to host a fundraiser, Rising Above the Storm, a fundraiser for flood relief and the Thunder spirit. It all starts at 6 o'clock. We'll be raising money for flood victims while taking a look back at some of Thunder's best memories from years past.
Some other big stories this morning. Today, a man will face a judge after allegedly hiding from police in the ductwork of a Louisville home. LMPD arrested 52-year-old Michael McWhorter Wednesday. Police say they had been searching for McWhorter because he had a warrant on a felony gun charge. LMPD's SWAT team learned McWhorter was at a home in Portland. Police said after hours of searching, they found him stuck in the ducts. McWhorter was pulled out, arrested, and now faces several charges, including possession of a handgun by a prohibited person and terroristic threatening. He's due in court today at 9.
A Louisville man will spend decades in prison for his role in last year's deadly Harvest Homecoming shooting. Darius Tuff was sentenced to 37 years yesterday in Floyd County. He accepted a plea deal back in February. Originally Tuff was charged with murder, but according to court documents in February, he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of aggravated battery with firearms enhancements. Floyd County prosecutor Chris Lane said ultimately this decision was based on Tuff's choices.
He did not have to come to Harvest Homecoming with a weapon. He did not have to pull his weapon out. He did not have to pull the trigger at least 3 times in a crowded area and hit 2 innocent people. Other choices could have been made, but those were his choices.
Tuff was one of several people who got into an argument during the festival back in October. The 2 groups began shooting at each other, and 3 bystanders were caught in the crossfire. An 18-year-old from Gordon was killed. Tuff is the second of 5 charged in this shooting to be sentenced.
LMPD has now released dash cam video showing the moment Metro Police Officer Alyssa Beagle and another driver collided while Beagle was speeding towards a call. Now, we're not going to show you the moment of impact, but the deadly crash happened last week during severe weather. Police say officers were called to a distress run in the Newburgh neighborhood. Beagle was driving on Fern Valley Road when police said 61-year-old Charles Briscoe turned in front of her cruiser. Briscoe died at the scene. Beagle suffered serious injuries but was released from the hospital several days after the crash. She's on paid administrative leave as LMPD conducts a criminal and administrative investigation.